So I admit there's going to be some padding in this video because I have some things to show, but not a whole lot. But some things you still might want to know about. The first padding is that Joann Fabrics is getting its Halloween cloth back in, and it's on 30% off. So I've learned from years gone by that if I see something I really like, I need to buy at least a little bit of it immediately because it will sell out fast. Now, I've also learned they might bring it back the next year, but the one I saw this year that I'd never seen before, so new this year that I bought, is this. Is that right side up? Yeah. I'm going to make a really simple skirt out of it. I just think it would be, you know, fun. Skeletons and skulls are fun. And then the other one I got was this, which this is one that I got last year, and then I got a yard of it last year, and I thought, well, I'm not quite sure. I have an idea what I want to do with it, and a yard's not quite enough, and I went back to buy more, and it was sold out. So I was happy to see they had it again this year, although I actually put the bolt down and talked myself out of buying it, but then I went back to the remnant section, and they had a remnant, so because of the remnant reduction, I got like 5/8 of a yard super reduced, so now I should have enough to do something someday. Like, you know, I've only had it for a year and not done anything with it yet, but I did resist buying cloth in the thrift store today. I looked at it. There were some really neat cloth and really neat prints, and I could immediately envision what I would make them into as far as doll clothes go, but I still have all the Susan cloth and all my decades of hoarded cloth that I need to use, so I did not buy that. All I bought in the thrift store was some sheets. And the only reason I went into the thrift store was because it was like $9.50 and I wanted to go to the salvage store. It's a chain of salvage stores in the Mid-South called Bargain Hunt. And I wanted to see what toys they had, what dolls they might have had, because, you know, I've found made-to-moves there, so sometimes they have useful dolls. So I went into the thrift store just to kill time because this place didn't open for another 10 minutes. And like I looked all over the thrift store, the toy selection was terrible because last Saturday was the first Saturday of the month, and they put the whole store on half off, and usually the store gets wiped out and it takes a while to recover. So I actually went to the other thrift store in the other direction on Monday, and like got there, it's like, oh yeah, they just had the big Saturday sale, that's why there's nothing here. I got shirts. But so I killed a lot of time in the store, and then I remembered that I wanted the sheets, so I went back and looked at that. And when I went into line to get into line to check out, I looked out the window, and the sky was steel gray, and the wind was blowing horizontally, and the rain was just starting to come down. So I said, yeah, I'm not going to the salvage store in this. So that's my padding. And I am still keenly aware of all the thanks sewing that I have to sew, and like I said, these have not been moved since last week's video when I put them up there after talking about them. Some of these probably will become thanks sewing, if only because I know some people who appreciate a really ugly doll sweater. Maybe. So I need to do the thanks sewing, I need to do the John birthday sewing. I am so far behind on that. And oh yeah, I did see once again look at the Harry Potter dolls in Walmart. The one Walmart we usually go to, we went first thing Friday morning, and the display was full, although there were no Dumbledores, because I wanted to pick out Dumbledore and mock the beard unit to husband. And when I went back in there on Monday, it was pretty picked over, sold down. The kids mainly. There was still at least one Minerva McGonagall. And then I went to the other Walmart today. They had obviously just put the Harry Potter display out because it was still packed. And still no Dumbledore. 2 McGonagalls. I looked at them, I considered the one with the worst face paint, because if I got this doll, I would have to customize her, because like I said, I'm really not into celebrity dolls. And also, you know, I've said before that Disney, I know Disney stuff, but it doesn't mean anything significant to me. The same thing with Harry Potter. I know Harry Potter stuff, but I don't know Harry Potter stuff. So I didn't buy the doll because I have seen people are finally managing to get them, and they post a picture and the head just looks huge. And I don't mind a huge doll head if it's stylized, but a huge realistic doll head, it's not my thing now. In the future it might be. I might convert because tastes change. And I know a lot of people have been having problems. They pre-ordered every single one of the Harry Potter dolls through Walmart, and a lot of people are getting their pre-orders canceled because like Walmart forgot that people pre-ordered and just shipped all the dolls out, and they don't have them to send to the people who pre-ordered anymore. So if you pre-ordered a Harry Potter doll and aren't getting it, meanwhile I'm talking about walking the store and seeing everybody but Dumbledore, I'm sorry. You will get your doll eventually, I hope, somehow. Okay, so much for the padding. What have I been doing with dolls? I took the mountain climber that Hey Bug had sent, thanks again, and I repainted her. You can probably guess that I based it very, very loosely on Rainbow Brite because of the blue eyeshadow. Because that was one of my favorite things about the Rainbow Brite Barbie, the fashionistas, and the rainbow dress, is that she has that blue eyeshadow, but it's not the color shade of blue that Barbie wore in the 70s and 80s. This is a very different blue. This was I think it's straight up ultramarine, but I can't quite remember. And also, Tiffy got a Rainbow Brite whose lips weren't great, so she repainted them, but she realized when she took the paint off that the sculpt can go either way as far as actually having teeth or not, so I went with painting this without teeth. And again, she's very, very, very stylized. I know it's not everybody's taste. She could have more detail, but as far as just getting the idea down, I mean, I can still add detail to her eyes if I want, but I'm still pretty happy with this. This is a lot more in the spirit of my kind of dolls. So that was some repainting fun. And if you noticed in the box opening video, Hey Bug sent 2 of these. I said I was going to send one to somebody, and I discussed this with her in email, and she said, well, hey, guess what? I went back to my Walmart and there were still 2 on clearance, and they were marked down even more, so have another. So that one got Brocade Blue's head. The skin tone match is really good. See, that's the other reason I decided to repaint her at least a little bit like Rainbow Brite, is because this body is not dark enough for Rainbow Brite. So I would either have to shade this or paint this or use pastels to somehow make it match Rainbow Brite. But I also thought if I got Rainbow Brite, I would want to curl her hair. So it actually just seemed easier to paint her to look vaguely like Rainbow Brite since they have the same head sculpt. And there are actually some weird quality control issues on the vinyl. It almost looks like the head was pulled out of the mold and then somebody grabbed it like this while it's still hot, and there's a palm print in it. But it's not really too obvious from most angles, and I don't mind dolls who look like they have some scars anyway, so it's just Mattel's quality control. Because, I mean, this body, I took it out of the package that Hey Bug sent it in, and there was a huge piece of plastic flash. That's the technical term for when plastic is pushed into a mold and there's like a slight gap at the edge of the seam, the plastic leaks out. Big wad of flash just sticking off of her knee. I was able to peel it off, but it shouldn't have been there to begin with. Anyway, though, Brocade Blue, yes, I do. If there's ever petite made to move body, I will probably buy those. Every one of those I see, because I like the short bodies, but since we don't have that, I don't mind putting Brocade Blue or Blue Brocade or whatever her name is head on this body, and it's a great match. And I'll probably leave her face paint alone, although there is a small lip rub. This is one of the heads that Flo sent. So as soon as I got this head on this body, I wanted to make an outfit just for her. And I was looking for something else in my, like I have this dresser back there, the top two drawers are cottons, and then the bottom drawer is knits, and then the third drawer is just sort of random fancier or heavier or unusual cloth. And I was digging through that for something else, and I rediscovered this wool blend that I got from Joann Fabric years ago that I didn't realize I had anymore. So I wanted to make an outfit out of that, and I wanted to try making a motorcycle jacket, even though my motorcycle jacket pattern is actually for Blythe and Momoko size. So I just sort of added random widths to it as I was cutting it out. And it's a little big. It's not a sleek motorcycle jacket in Barbie size, but I'm happy enough with it. It has real pockets that even the Made to Move can't quite reach because they're so high up. Anyway, yeah, there's pockets and it's lined. Like I said, it's not the most graceful motorcycle jacket, but I'm pretty happy with it. And this cloth had this safety stitch, chain stitch embroidery on it as I bought it, but by the selvages there were just like 2 or 3 inches on each side that had no decoration, and that's what I used to make her dress. I'm much happier with the dress than I am with the jacket, but the jacket's not too bad. And then I made the necklace just to go with it. And I thought the earrings matched better than they actually do. But I will go through my doll earrings and find better earrings eventually. One of the things I mean, this is a Billy sculpt. It's not the gray sculpt, which has changed just subtly. And Billy, I like that sculpt. And also, this hair has subtle bits of pink in it, which is why I really like this doll head. And I've had several incarnations of her on her original petite body. But now I have her on a body that can move. And yes, I'm babbling already. But with this cloth, several years ago I made a dress for it that I no longer have, but I realized, hey, I think I would like to recreate that dress. So that's this, and this is one of the patterns I shared. Did I mention last week in the video that all the doll patterns I've shared so far I've put on my sewing blog? soiam.blogspot.com. Is it blogspot or blogger? I can never remember. I'll put a link down below. But this is one of the dress patterns I shared, and this is one of the first dress patterns I shared, and this was originally intended for 6-scale female action figures, so the proportions are a little bulkier than Barbie bodies, but it fits curvy fairly well. It could use some tweaks, but it could work. And as you see on this ideal body, it fits okay. And I kind of wish I'd actually sewn the sides closed. Making it like this was my pattern again, because the female action figures need to be able to move and kick, right? But another option is you can sew the sides up. So I'm happy I recreated this dress on this. This is Misty that Deb, Jones for Dollies, sent a while ago. And this is the grown-up Tammy that Flo sent just a few weeks ago, wearing a skirt made from cloth that Cosmo Moore sent a while ago. I actually have another circle skirt for 60cm dolls up here cut out, made out of this cloth, but I just haven't actually made the skirt yet. This is made out of 2 1/4 circle panels sewn together. And that's why I put the closing on the side, because if I'd slid it up the back, that would have made it even less cloth to work with. And this is just pushing it as far as actually getting around her waist. And the lace was actually from a doll that I bought with a really tattered and battered wedding dress, but the lace overlay was in decent shape, so I picked this lace edging that was on and off so I could reuse it in different ways. And I actually made the shirt so that in the future it can be worn not necessarily tucked in. I put a ruffled lace edge on the bottom, although that makes the skirt sit a little lumpy around her hips, but that's okay. And then I made the shirt to go under it for modesty, and the necklace just for detail. I don't know if you're aware, in the 50s, and I don't know if it was into the 60s, even though, yes, this doll's more 60s, in the 50s and in the 40s, lace shirts were really popular. And I found a lot of sewing patterns for like just skirts from the era where it's still, she's obviously wearing a lace shirt with a very polite undershirt under it. So I will not say this outfit is in any way historically accurate, but it is definitely an homage to the era. That sounds fancy, doesn't it? And then the other doll thing I did is made up of parts that that Flo sent that I kind of had next to each other, and I thought, oh, that's ridiculous. I'll take a picture of these two together just so everyone else can share in how horrible the idea was. And what it was, it's the Sunshine Family Grandpa, which, if you're not familiar with the Sunshine Family, they were smaller than Barbie, like 8 or 9 inches. And instead of having painted on eyes or having sleep eyes, they had just circles. Like if you're familiar with Blythe or pull-up eye chips, imagine the eye chip just stuck on the face. No sclera, no whites, no eyelid, nothing. Just, oh, hold on. Because Flo and other people have sent me other Sunshine Family dolls. I can actually pull them out as an example. Let me find one with blue eyes because it's a little more striking. Sunshine Family Mom. So basically, they all had faces like this. Just this is the grandma. So I was messing around with the grandpa, and problem with these Sunshine Family dolls and a lot of dolls from the 70s is the plastic does not age well. So I was messing around with Grandpa's Sunshine Family, and his neck knob snapped off. So here I had the head that could not be put back on the body. And I was playing around with all the bodies that Flo had sent, including a Ken, articulated gymnast-style Ken body that Flo had obviously been modifying the neck to take some other sort of head or neck connection. And so the neck was cut off shorter than a normal Ken's neck. And I put Grandpa next to it and took a picture of it just to kind of appall people. But we agreed that, some people agreed that there could be something to it. So I took an older broken Barbie's neck, which the neck connection, the neck opening in the head was just big enough to go over that. It's a little tight. And I epoxy puttied that into that Ken body. And then after that cured, I put more epoxy in it to like smooth out the transition from the big Ken neck down to the small Barbie neck. So that's the state of it right now. I obviously still need to paint it. But it was still this, you know, kind of buff Ken body, somewhat realistic body, with just the staring round eye chip eyes. So I decided I'd be, oh, it amused me, I'd be funny. I thought it was funny. So when I had the paint out for her face and her lips, did I mention, her lips were damaged. Like the paint was worn off, but there's actually some damage to the vinyl. So I didn't take the time to sand the vinyl smooth, so I couldn't paint the proper divot in the top of her lip. I just repainted her lips over the damage. And it's the same lip color as this doll, the exact same paint. And so I had all my paint out, and I thought, well, let me see if I can repaint Grandpa Sunshine to look a little less. And I'm not saying it was a good idea, but I did it. And here's how he looks now. And, yeah, I'm getting, you know, Santa. Or not. I think he looks like something out of a fantasy novel, role-playing campaign or something. I'm not sure where I'm going with this or what I'm going to do with it, but that's why you're here, right? To see what randomness Andrea comes up with this week. So I hope I'll have some more randomness for you next week. Thanks for hanging around.